Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Miss Ford.
All right. So, all year, you guys have been working to become better writers, right? Yes. So, in second grade, you're learning how to write in 3 different genres. Is that true?
Yes.
Have you learned all 3 genres yet?
No.
No. Okay. What 2 have we learned out of the 3? Anybody have an idea? What have we learned about Guadalupe? We've learned about?
We learned about
Informative writing. Okay. And there's one more that we've learned about. Yes, my dear.
and the narrative
And a narrative. Can you say that in a complete sentence, please? And narrative. We've learned
narrative writing.
We've learned narrative writing. Right. So today, I really want to make sure that you know the difference between when we're writing for a narrative purpose and when we're writing for an informative purpose. Because for the next few weeks, we're going to be practicing writing informative, and I need to make sure you know what informative is in order for you to write in that genre. Does that make sense? Kind of? Okay. So, our goal today is, I say, you say. Today, we will be able to identify and sort examples of narrative and informative writing. Okay, so first, let's review what narrative writing is. I say, you say. Narrative writing is written to tell a story in story talk. It could be written for enjoyment, has a beginning, middle, and end, illustrations, and usually there's a problem and solution. Anybody want to give me an example of a narrative? Just think of a part of a narrative. It doesn't have to be a whole thing, but maybe a piece of a narrative, just based off of these points. You, my friend.
Once there was a cat, and he said, "I am so hot." So he went outside to see if there was any water. There wasn't.
Okay, so that's a problem. Now you need the last part, which is a...
Solution.
What could be the solution?
Then owner of cat put water into his bowl and he licked it all up in one slip.
Okay, let's give her a round of applause. That's a great narrative. Now, if she was actually writing this story, what type of illustration could she do? Sweetheart, can you stop playing with her? What type of illustration could she do? Ijaya. I can't hear you though. Can you tell me?
name is Ijaya.
Oh, okay. Ijaya. Thank you.
She could have a cat that was sweating a whole. Just a million bunch.
Okay, so she could draw a picture of a very sweaty cat. That would be a great illustration.
She laughed. She could have went crazy. Her cat going, "Look for water, switching out for water." You would have saw the owner poured water into her bowl, and she slurped it all in one sip.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, so these are all examples of what we see when we write for a narrative purpose. So now everybody, I want you to switch your brain. Ready? Switch your brain. Okay, now we're going to think about informative writing. Everybody say informative writing.
Informative writing
Tells information.
tells information,
Gives fact talk.
gives fact talk,
Is written to learn.
is written to learn,
Has main idea and details.
has main idea and details,
Uses photos, charts, and graphs.
uses photo charts and graphs,
Has true information or directions.
has true information or directions,
informative writers. Can anybody give me an example of the informative writing you've done so far? Where's Crystal? Crystal, can you give me an example of something you've done for informative writing? What did you write about this morning? Ooh, the life cycle of a frog would be a great topic for informative writing, okay? And that's kind of what we're going to do a little bit today. So today I said we were going to identify and sort examples of narrative and informative writing. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to sort examples of narrative and informative writing. So, in this bag, I have different examples of narrative and informative writing, okay? So I'm going to pull one out. Okay, I'm going to read you my example. Around 12 weeks, it becomes a froglet and will leave the water. Frogs become an adult at 16 weeks. Now, I think this is informative because it's giving me a fact about frogs. So then, what side would I put it on? This side or this side?
Informative.
Informative, okay? Pretend I taped it there. You guys will have glue. I don't have glue. Okay? Let me try another one. I'm going to pull out another example. I'll save that one for you guys. Okay, should I pull it?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my example. No, wait! I want you guys to think. I think this is blank because blank. Think about it. Okay, can you turn to your partner and tell them what you think it is? I love the way you guys return knee to knee right away. Use your sentence frame. I'll show you all the picture. I think this is blank because blank.
I think
Okay, back on your spot. Thumb up when you're ready. Okay. What do you think? I can't remember your name. Can you remind me your name? Stephen A. I think this is. Do you think it's narrative or informative? Here's my picture. Because why? You don't know why. Who can help him? That's great. I love how you told me. I think it's narrative, but I don't know why. Perhaps if you look at some of these different ideas, it could tell you why. Anybody have an idea why they think this is narrative? You, my friend.
Because it doesn't have a beginning and middle and end.
This picture doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end? That's not quite the reason why. I disagree with that reason. I'm thinking of what is the reason why this is a narrative.
Oh, now I know.
Think about it. Use your anchor chart to help you. Oh, Crystal, do you have an idea?
It is writing to enjoy.
This looks like enjoyment? Maybe. That's one possible reason. There's one reason that's even better, but this could definitely fall into that category. What do you think?
It is not a story.
This is not a story? This is not a story. You're right. This is not a story. But this is an example of a type of writing. This is an example of either a narrative or an informative. So let's go through the reasons. Should we go through the reasons?
I know.
Yes. We're going to go through the reasons. Okay. Okay, you know why? Can you say it really loud? It is the narrative illustration.
That's
Remember?
what I was gonna say.
Well, that's great. That means that you are definitely thinking on track. Okay, but I really appreciate the way Crystal said, well, that is obviously for enjoyment because that's making me laugh. So it's not just one reason that it falls into a narrative. It's also because it's an illustration. So great thinking. I told you guys that I was going to give you some hard examples, right?
But we didn't know it was gonna be pictures.
I told you I was going to give you some hard examples. So I'm trying to challenge your thinking. Okay, so let's practice our sentence frames before I have you work in partners, okay? So I say, you say. I think this is narrative because... Okay, let's say it together. I think this is narrative because... blank. I think this is informative because... Then you say, I agree, but if you don't agree, you say, I disagree. I think it is narrative because, or, I disagree. I think it is informative because, blank. Okay? Okay, so now with your partners, you are all going to have a graphic organizers where you're going to identify where the example goes, in narrative or informative, okay? You are all going to have examples and you're going to sort them, okay? Now, this is what I'm looking for in your partner work, okay? I do have expectations. 1, you are working together and taking turns. So, when you start sorting them, oh wait, you're not listening. Thank you. Okay, when you are sorting them, you're taking turns with your partner. And you are using the sentence frame to communicate your ideas. So those sentence frames we just practiced, they're not just for when we're down here. You're going to be using those frames to talk to your partner. You're going to say, I think this is blank because blank. And see if you guys agree or disagree. And the last one, this is the most important thing about your partner work, is that you are giving reasons for your examples. Just like we said, I think it is narrative because it is written for enjoyment. Or I think it is narrative because this is a illustration. So you can use this anchor chart to help you, or you can use your own ideas that you know about narrative and informative. Any questions?
No.
Why?
Because
Why would we write informative writing?
I think it's in narrative because I did not. Let's do like opposite.
What did you say?
Learning. Written to learn.
Yes, written to learn. Good job.
It started. You don't need all right.
Not yet. No, not yet.
I went out for a special breakfast. We had donuts and chocolate. I think this is.
Okay, now use your sentence frame.
I think this is narrative because it tells my favorite.
Did you agree or disagree?
I agree or I disagree.
Nice.
Alright. And I agree. We need more space.
I want you to pause, put all your materials down, and I want you to, I'll wait. I think we need some points of clarity. I would like you to meet carpets. So let's take a break because I saw people really getting involved. A couple things you did great. The sentence frames. Give yourselves a round of applause. At first, I heard some people being like, oh, this is narrative. And then they just needed a friendly reminder to use a sentence frame, and then they used the sentence frame. Now the part where they were having a little bit of trouble was saying the reason why. They knew it was narrative or they knew it was informative, but they couldn't remember why. So I want to remind you to think about the different elements of narrative and informative writing when you're telling your partner why. Okay? So, I think this is narrative, and then somebody was like, oh, Miss Ford, it's narrative because that's story talk. So I'm going to put that under narrative. I know it's a little bit tricky, but I want you to try your very best, okay? The other thing I really saw you guys doing well was taking turns. And that was another thing I was looking for, okay? But I just wanted to point out some things because I saw some people were confused on a couple of these pictures. Or a couple of things. So I'm going to pull out this one.
I have that one.
Okay. I saw this one on narrative side and I saw it on informative side. Let's have a discussion. What do you think it is and why? Area.
I think it's narrative.
Because? So, Ariane's saying, I think it's narrative, but she didn't have a
it's
because.
narrative because there's
You're not sure. Okay, who can help her? You can agree or you can disagree, but I need to know the reason why. Please don't do that. Thank you. Go ahead and tell me what you think. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree.
You think it's
Informative
because it has photos, charts, and graphs, okay? So this is a type of graph, kind of, it's a cycle, okay? So it's showing you the cycle of a frog, the life cycle of a frog, okay? Any other reason why you would choose this was informative? Yes? Loud and proud.
I think it's informative because it's written to learn.
It's written to learn, so this is teaching you something. Just like informative writing, you are trying to learn something or teach something when you are looking at informative writing. So, let's give them, I don't know, a round of applause, because that goes on informative. All right. Let's try one more. Okay, how about this one? There were so many wonderful pets that I could not decide.
We have that.
There were so many wonderful pets that I could not decide. Any thoughts? Let's see. Narrative or informative? What are your ideas? Narrative or informative?
Informative writing because it is written to users.
Is this written to learn? There were so many wonderful pets that I could not decide. Did that teach you something? Julie, loud and proud.
I think it is narrative because it's a problem.
Oh, it's a problem. That's right. I go to the pet store and there are so many wonderful pets that I can't decide. That is my problem. Julie, high five.
And to enjoy.
And it's to enjoy. Okay, so did this help you?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and, Ms. Smith, would you like to continue or?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and release you based on your countries or continents. So you can continue your work, and I hope this helped you to clarify your understanding. Australia, go ahead.